Country music has always been honest about what it is. It does not pretend to be something more sophisticated than the life it comes from. The farms, the small towns, the open land, the working people who built things with their hands and understood the world could be dangerous, and that you were largely responsible for your own safety. That honesty is why country music has never had a complicated relationship with firearms. Guns are part of the life the music describes. On the wall of the farmhouse, in the truck on the way to the lease, leaning against the stand on opening morning. In that world, they are not political symbols. They are tools. But there's a difference between the casual cultural presence of firearms in country music and the specific, deliberate, publicly expressed commitment to the Second Amendment that some of country's biggest names have made a defining part of who they are. That is what this video is about. Not just the artists who hunt on their ranch or keep a rifle in the house. The artists who have stood up in front of very large audiences and said clearly, without apology, that the right to keep and bear arms matters, that they own guns and intend to stay exactly who they are, regardless of what the entertainment industry thinks about that. Miranda Lambert is the most important name on this list because she is the most powerful female voice in country music of her generation, and she has never once softened her position on firearms to make herself more palatable. Lambert grew up in Lindale, Texas, the daughter of private investigators who carried firearms as part of their daily professional lives. She started shooting young. She has spoken in interviews about keeping a pistol within reach at home and about the practical, grounded relationship with firearms that comes from growing up in a household where guns were tools, not symbols. Lambert's preferred carry platform leans toward the compact end of the practical defensive spectrum. She has been publicly associated with the Ruger LCP, a pocket-sized .380 ACP pistol representing the absolute minimum footprint for a serious defensive handgun. The LCP is not a range toy, and it is not a collector's piece. It is a gun designed for one purpose: to be carried comfortably every day by someone who understands the size of the gun matters less than the decision to have one when it is needed. That Lambert carries it and says so publicly is a statement that goes beyond the firearm itself. For longer range and hunting applications, Lambert has spoken about her experience with the Browning Satori, one of the most refined over-under shotguns in production. The Satori is the kind of gun that gets passed down through generations, a beautifully made tool with fit and finish that reflects genuine craftsmanship, and its presence in Lambert's shooting life reflects the same appreciation for quality and tradition that runs through her music. Eric Church is a more complicated figure in this conversation, and more interesting for it. He occupies a space in country music where serious artistic ambition coexists with deep cultural roots, and his relationship with the Second Amendment reflects both. He grew up in Granite Falls, North Carolina, hunting with his father, and that experience shaped a relationship with firearms that has nothing abstract about it. Church has spoken at length about gun ownership, about the specific grief he felt after the Las Vegas shooting in 2017, where his fans were among those killed, and about the difficulty of holding complicated positions on complex issues without abandoning the core values that define his identity. What makes Church's perspective distinctive is that he does not reduce firearms to a simple political position. He holds the specific, contextual, historically grounded view of the lifelong hunter. The view that acknowledges firearms are serious tools deserving serious treatment, that responsible ownership is both a right and an obligation, and that the culture of hunting and shooting sports represents something worth defending precisely because it has been built over generations on exactly those values. His Weatherby Mark V in .300 Weatherby Magnum is a serious hunting rifle built for serious distances. The way Church talks about it reflects a man who has earned his opinions the old-fashioned way, by spending time in the field. Garth Brooks presents an interesting case because his public profile has sometimes placed him in cultural territory that might seem at odds with hardcore Second Amendment advocacy. Yet, his background tells a different story. Brooks grew up in Yukon, Oklahoma, where hunting was a normal and expected part of life, and his relationship with firearms has always been that of the practical rural American rather than the ideological advocate. His preference for the Remington 700 in various hunting calibers reflects exactly this grounding. The Model 700 is the most successful bolt-action hunting rifle in American history because it does everything a serious hunter needs without pretension. And Brooks's relationship with it is a piece of the same authentic country life that has always informed his music. Tim McGraw grew up without the father he would later come to know, raised by his mother in a small Louisiana town, and the hunting culture of the rural South shaped him from the earliest age. McGraw has spoken about duck hunting and deer hunting as activities that connect him to where he came from in a way no amount of success can sever. His Browning Maxus, a gas-operated semi-automatic shotgun built for waterfowl hunting, is the gun of early mornings in a blind on a Louisiana marsh, of a tradition that goes back further than he can trace. McGraw does not carry the Second Amendment as a political banner. He carries it the way most rural Americans carry it, as a fact of life so obvious it barely requires stating. It is worth noting what all of these artists have in common beyond the guns themselves. Not one of them arrived at firearms ownership through ideology. Not one of them carries a rifle or a pistol to make a political point. They carry because they grew up in a world where that was normal, where the question was never whether you owned a gun, but which one fit the job at hand. That distinction matters enormously. The most durable gun culture is not the one built on arguments. It is the one built on tradition. On Saturday mornings at the range with your father, on opening day of deer season, on the weight of a shotgun that was passed down through 3 generations. Country music carries that tradition forward every time it is honest about where it came from. Chris Stapleton deserves particular attention because he represents the raw, unmediated version of Americana that has always been the beating heart of country music at its most honest. Stapleton is from Staffordsville, Kentucky, and he has never pretended to be from anywhere else. His relationship with firearms, including a serious appreciation for the 1911 platform and for the bolt-action hunting rifles of the American South, is part of the same complete authenticity that makes his music feel like it was carved rather than written. The 1911 and 45 ACP carries particular resonance in the South and in the rural American tradition generally. It has been in continuous production for more than a century. It served the United States military through 2 world wars and every major conflict in between. When a man like Stapleton chooses a 1911, he is not making a fashion statement. He is expressing a preference for something proven over time, that carries history in its design, and that will still be doing its job reliably long after more fashionable options have come and gone. Zac Brown, the founder and driving force of the Zac Brown Band, brings a dimension to this conversation rooted in the Southern outdoor tradition and in the kind of multi-generational relationship with the land that produces serious hunters and serious gun owners almost as a matter of course. Brown grew up in the Georgia foothills, and his relationship with firearms is inseparable from his relationship with that landscape. The deer woods, the duck marshes, the family traditions that shaped him before he picked up a guitar. His preference for the Browning X-Bolt in various calibers reflects a hunter's priorities: accuracy, reliability, and the confidence that comes from a rifle proven in the field rather than merely marketed to it. The Browning X-Bolt represents a moment in the evolution of the American hunting rifle where CNC machining and modern metallurgy allowed manufacturers to deliver custom shop accuracy at factory rifle prices. Brown's use of one reflects the pragmatic approach to quality that characterizes serious hunters everywhere. The recognition that what matters is what the rifle can do in the field on the morning when it matters. That grounding in practical performance over aesthetic statement is itself a distinctly country music value, and it runs through every artist on this list. What all of these artists share, beneath the differences in their music and their public personas, is a relationship with firearms rooted in place and practice rather than ideology. They grew up in parts of America where guns were present, normal, and meaningful, where hunting was how families spent time together and how tables got set in lean years, where the ability to protect yourself and your family was understood as a personal responsibility that no one else could fulfill for you. That understanding does not go away when you sell out arenas. It goes with you because it is a part of who you are in a way that fame cannot touch. Country music at its best tells the truth about American life in a way that more sophisticated genres often cannot. The presence of firearms in that truth is not an accident or an anachronism. It is an accurate reflection of how a very large portion of this country actually lives, actually thinks, and actually values the things it has always valued. These artists know that. They are not going to pretend otherwise. Subscribe to this channel right now if this is the kind of content that speaks to you. Do not wait. Hit that subscribe button before this one ends. Turn on notifications and become part of a community that takes firearms, history, and American culture seriously. Share this with someone who loves country music, with someone who hunts, with someone who has been told these two things have nothing to do with each other. And leave a comment below telling us which country artists we left off this list. We want every name, every reason, every argument. We read all of it, and the best suggestions become the next video.